Hello! Now, my last video, I called it Fat Loss Essentials Part 1. So this is Part 2. Part 1 was one half the energy expenditure intake equation, and I covered energy expenditure and how you can maximize that in every day of your life, in and out of the gym. Now, I'm going to talk today about energy intake, which of course comes from food. So let's start. Now, all the calories that you take in, a calorie is just a measurement of energy. All the calories, almost all, for argument's sake, comes from carbohydrate, protein and fat. Now each of them carry a number of calories. Now rounded to the nearest calorie, carbohydrate, 1 gram, 4 calories. Protein, 1 gram, 4 calories. Fat, 1 gram, 9 calories. Okay? Now that is why low fat diets have been so popular over the last especially the last 40 years or so, because fat calories are more calories. So the easiest way to drop calories out your diet in short term is to eat a low fat diet. And still to this day, if you go to Slim and World or someone like that, Weight Watchers to an extent, they will work on a low fat diet because it will reduce the number of calories you're eating. Okay? The problem with this, well, there's a few problems. One, fat is an absolutely essential micronutrient, and I would say to you, is more essential to you for your health than carbohydrate is. Most fat-containing foods will contain a lot of vitamins and micronutrients that are essential for your health. So cutting out fat, I would say, is not good for your health, not at all. Cutting out any macronutrient entirely is not going to be beneficial to your health. But the other thing it doesn't take into account is the hormonal response of different calories. And I've talked about this before in other videos, that carbohydrate will affect you. It will give you bigger ups and downs in terms of energy, and especially with the hormone insulin that will help regulate your blood sugar and will divert the energy in your blood sugar into different tissues, if you like. So in your muscles, in your liver, or as fat. And fat and protein don't have this effect. Fat and protein especially, it keeps you full. There's good satiety with that. Whereas carbohydrate will keep you full for a small amount of time, and then largely most people will get hungry. And this is where the glycemic index comes into things. The glycemic index just gives you a score out of 100 for how quickly food will spike your blood sugar. With pure glucose, which you'll get in Lucozade or something like that, having a score of 100 out of 100. Glucose, all carbohydrate will be converted into glycogen in your body, which you will use as a fuel. For most activity, you'll use glycogen and fat for fuel for most things. And so glucose is most easily converted into glycogen in the body. Now, if you eat white bread or if you eat white rice, this will spike your blood sugar massively, score of 90 odd. If you eat brown rice, it will have a score near 50, or porridge oats 50, 60. It will still spike your blood sugar, but less. So that's where the glycemic index comes in. Keeps you fuller for a bit longer, because rather than white bread gives you this spike, brown bread gives you this spike. Again, fat and protein, steady. Very negligible effect to your insulin levels. And so this is where it becomes complicated, because different foods make you more hungry, different foods have more calories. So ultimately, fat has the most calories, but carbohydrate will be the food that leaves you fullest for the least amount of time. Protein will be the food that keeps you fullest for the longest amount of time. Now, in addition to this, whole food, so in other words, food that has come in its natural form, will take your body longer to break down, and so you will expend more energy breaking it down. And so when you eat food, it takes calories to digest it. And so avoiding refined foods, so going for a steak rather than burger. If you are eating carbohydrate, eating brown rice rather than white rice, eating it near its whole form, nearest its natural, the way it was created by Mother Nature, will break down slower, will take more calories to digest, and will not give you the ups and downs. Now, finally, I want to touch on dieting. Going on a severe calorie deficit, and I've talked about this in previous videos, have a look at that as well. Dieting for long-term success, I think I called it. Now, people go on and off diets tend to end up heavier. People go on low calorie diets, damage their metabolism. Your body will adapt to whatever stresses you place on it. So if you don't eat many calories, it will learn to survive on not many calories. And so let's wrap this up. What you want to do, barring specific cases, I would get roughly an equal amount of carbohydrate, protein and fat. Those, in terms of the amount of calories you come in, I would try to get them roughly a third from each of those macronutrients. I would eat whole foods, foods that aren't processed, things nearest their natural source as possible. And I would not go on a severe calorie deficit. Even trying to lose weight, you want to lose weight eating as much as possible, so your long-term potential for fat loss is greater. Hope that's been useful. See you soon.